This lecture will talk about the raw data format of DC sweep in LTspice, and I will show you how to import raw data into Python IDE. DC sweep is a method in Spice to vary a DC value of independent source, such as voltage source, current source, or temperature. By doing so, you can get a DC transfer function of a device, or you can plot the current versus voltage curves of a device. The syntax is DC source name, start value, end value, and followed by the increment. DC sweep can also be nested up to 3 variables. Here is the material for this lecture. First, let's open the schematic in LTspice. This is a simple example of a DC sweep. You can see the syntax is .dc V1 starting from 0, ending at 2.5 volt. Increment is 0.1 volt. Right-click over the syntax. This is the simulation command of DC sweep. The first source is V1. The type of sweep is linear, starting from 0, stop at 2.5, increment is 0.1. Also, you can put second source and third source. As I said before, DC sweep is up to 3 different sources. Hit OK. So V1, the value is 0 because V1 voltage will be dominated by the DC sweep value. So we can put anything here. For simplicity, I just put 0 volt here. And D1 is the diode. Model number is 1N5817. Now let's run the simulation. You can see the plot window pops up. We move the mouse over D1. We can check the D1's current. D1 current is plotted in y-axis. X-axis is voltage of V1, which is the independent voltage source in the DC sweep. Now the IV curve of diode D1 is obtained. Now the simulation is finished. Close the LTspice. Let's open the raw data in a notepad. You can see it's very similar to other types of simulation. The first part is header. The second part is binary data. Now let's go over the header. The plot name is DC transfer characteristic, the same as DC sweep. Flags are real numbers. Forward means the DC sweep is from low value to high value. Number of variables are 4, as shown here. The number of points is 26. As we said before, voltage V1 is changing from 0 volt to 2.5 volt with a step of 0.1 volt. As a result, in total, there are 26 steps. The raw data format for the binary results are shown here. The raw data format for DC sweep is the same as the DC operating point. The source value is 8 byte, and the DC operating point of each variable is 4 byte. For example, variable 1, variable 2, and variable x. And then we sweep at the second. After it's done, the simulation will go to the second value of the source. That's another 8 byte, followed by 4 byte variables, and so on and so forth. Now, I will move to the Python and show you a quick demo. Before I go to Python, let's close the raw data file in Notepad. Go to Python IDE. We are using Spider here. Double check the directory, make sure you are in the right directory for this lecture. This is the given Python code. As we did before, we import LTspice 3 first. We use LTspice3.sim data to obtain the raw data and save as SD. The input is a raw data name in a string. Name is sd.variables. And the values are saved as dc_op_sweep in this case. Now let's remove all variables first. Run the code. So you can see two variables are created in the variable explorer. Names are v1, vnode001, current of d1, current of v1. This is a list of 4 strings. DC operating point sweep values are saved here as a list of a number of NumPy arrays. Each element is a NumPy array. The first element is the voltage V1 at each step of DC sweep. The second value is V voltage of node 1 and current of D1. The last one is the current of voltage source V1. So that's all for this quick demo. Here's the reference for this lecture. Thank you very much. See you soon.